Andrew.
Yeah, a couple of possibilities for our members to consider in terms of addressing some of the things that were raised. One is on the issue of having alternates and having a time lag if someone leaves. It was mentioned that there were potentially 6 months or longer for an alternate to fill a slot. I think maybe we can include something in here that requires the city to fill a slot within 30 days or some other time frame that we deem reasonable. So that would be, again, on page 3 under C, the term limit section, specifically about filling alternate slots. The second thing I wanted to mention, and I appreciate Mr. Walsh, you raising this point, is that we've been told by the city that we will be receiving a $100 a month stipend as members of this committee. I think it is prudent to include that in here, if for nothing else, for transparency purposes. And so I would ask my fellow members to support including that as an additional line item in the bylaws. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Clarification. With the alternatives and filling the slots, out of the pool of alternatives, do we have the ability to choose who that is? I know that was a question that we talked about previously.
Well, I'm looking down at you as far as if alternates are needed. I believe that there was something in here about what the PSEP, how the PSEP would want to address that. Is that piece not in here?
I don't see it.
Okay, so that might be something that we could put in as an amendment if it's not there, unless you know something.
Because Andrew had said that it was like up to the city to fill that slot within X amount of months or weeks, whatever it was. But I was just wondering, is it like, do we have a pool and we choose, or is it something like, okay, someone's resigned or it needs to be filled, is that up to the city?
So it could be that, it could be that the space should be filled within 30 days, and then the PSEP can put in the bylaws how you would choose that person. Yeah. So that could be 2 different amendments.
Right, because going back to the original point that the mayor had made about this being an independent body, that I think to that point that it should be chosen by PSEP.
And since that's not in there, I think that would, once we get to that point, that would need to be an amendment to this draft.
And also how we choose from that pool too, because I know that's another thing that we had talked about, you know, is it based on how many meetings that you've been in, and getting someone in there that's going to be ready to jump in and be ready to go.
Yeah, and I would think that would be combined. So if you were to put an amendment that the PSEP should fill the space, you would put in how that decision would be made. Okay, any new comments? Yeah, so it's pointed out that it says the PSEP shall make a recommendation to the mayor on appointing the alternate, but it doesn't describe how that recommendation will come about. So that would need to be described. Okay, and then I'm told that ultimately the PSEP, or the mayor would be in charge of making the appointment.
Okay, so he's all right.
Doesn't preclude you from putting forth a recommendation.
All right.
So there was 2 comments that were brought up for public comment that I promised that we'd come back to revisit. One was regarding the language in section 9 around communication, and one was regarding the portion of whether or not there would be a steering committee. Do either of those points feel that they're necessary to be made at this point?
What was the first one?
Patrick had mentioned that he had some ideas around the wordsmithing of communication to make it more user-friendly, and Keisha had mentioned some thoughts around the idea of having a steering committee versus not having a steering committee. Patrick?
Yeah. I actually didn't say I had ideas. I said that I had confusion.
I'm sorry, I was corrected. You had confusion. And then I asked if you could come up with ideas. I'm wondering.
You know, can I ask you, just raise a hand, who here has a blog or a Facebook page? If I just said media to you, would Facebook or a blog be media to you? Because, you know, depending on the definition, that could be media. And I wouldn't be able to talk to you because it says I can't talk to media. You know, I don't represent a specific group, as far as I know. And so I don't know if I could specifically speak to a specific group or not. And there's just other words in here like verbal communications. You know, saying hi to Dan Handelman as I walk past him. Is that, you know, he has a blog. Is that verbal communications? You know, how did the meeting go last night? It went well. You know, that's verbal communications at that point. So,
Andrew?
One idea that I'll throw out there for making it a little bit clearer and more simple would be to require notification from members of this board to the city staff liaison only when we are communicating on behalf of the PSUP as a whole. In other words, if we are communicating with anybody else in this room or anybody else who's not in this room about PSUP business, people ask us for our opinion about how things are going. We are out in the community trying to get folks to come to a meeting. We don't need to notify them in that context. It's only when we are speaking on behalf of the entire group that such notification would be required.
Okay, thank you for that, and I just want to clarify that when the language is used around city liaison, you're speaking about the project manager. Any other comments on that point as far as the concerns around having some vague language of communication and then possibly making it more focused by putting in something that says when you're speaking on behalf of the entire PSET?
I definitely agree that it should be, you know, if you're speaking on behalf of the entire group, then yes. But if you're just out in the community and, you know, our whole job is to create better liaison with the community. And if I can't talk to them, you know.
Okay. So that could be a possible amendment.
Yeah.
And then just to backtrack for the first point, the idea of filling within 30 days, that could be an amendment on its own. The idea of the PSEP suggesting somebody to the mayor would need to be called out, and a mechanism for making that decision would need to be made. And so I don't know if anybody has an idea of what that mechanism would be as far as how would the PSEP decide which alternate to suggest to the mayor would be the most appropriate. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I would suggest that we contact the alternates and let them know that the position has become available, ask for their interest, because some of them may not at that point want to, and then have some interest in the initial interview process with the co-chair or the secretary, and then from that, maybe some input from the entire PSEP board, and then a recommendation to the mayor. That's my thoughts.
So just so I'm clear, it would be a matter of contacting the contacting the alternates, finding out which ones would be available and interested in filling the spots, and then almost having a secondary round of vetting to see of those that are interested, which this group thinks would be the most appropriate in that time, just kind of creating a process for that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
That'd be the same for youth alternates, since there's only 2 other youth alternates.
Okay. So then the idea is, would the same process be used for youth alternates?
Well, yeah, that would be my question. Is would they have to go through that?
Right. I'm just posing that question back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that a meetings attended should be also considered because we want somebody that's, you know, someone vacates, we want somebody who's going to be able to step up and is current with what's going on. And if the last time you were here was 4 meetings ago, we have someone who's been here for the last 3 meetings, I think that person should have a preference over that. Also considering if they are wanting to, of course.
And that point could also be part of the internal process if it was decided that there would be a secondary process involving the steering committee if there was one, or the group as a whole, that could include as well. Any other comments on that?
Only other comments to make clear, I think this is what you meant, Sam, with the sort of structure that you were putting forth, that in order for us to have a recommendation from the board, we would need a vote of 7, at least 7 members of the board to recommend someone.
Correct.
Agree with that?
Okay, so just to make sure that I'm hearing everybody correctly, I'm hearing a few different things that could eventually lead to amendments before somebody would suggest passing bylaws. One would say that stipends should be mentioned. I think I heard that from you, Andrew.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, it's $120 a month, not $100. So one of my colleagues told me that, so I'm $20 richer.
Okay.
Pretty excited about it.
Another would be that the that a position would be filled within 30 days, that the PSEP, within that 30 days, the PSEP would make a recommendation to the mayor, and the mayor would then select somebody. So I just want to note that that would logistically be a pretty fast-moving process. So if it was to happen in 30 days, you could also say within, or we could say however you wanted. But those are the two things I heard. Fill within 30 days, and then an internal mechanism would be in place, which could involve checking with alternates, seeing who's available, who's interested, and then having an internal process of selection. And then I also heard there was different ideas of how to handle that internal process. Are there other points that people would like to either have as amendments or thoughts on the general bylaws?
One more comment on the final comment that was made about including the word advice in the mission statement. I think that's a great point. I believe there's already existing language in the settlement agreement that speaks to our ability as a group to provide feedback and or advice on various policies to the police bureau. And so I would propose adding that language, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact language, but that language, one sentence, to that mission statement.
Sorry about that. I just had a question. Because what I'm hoping to do is to give you back language that if anybody here is considering making a motion to vote, that you're able to include the different things that have been said here. So that's why I keep trying to reflect it back. The question I just asked Nicole, which might be appropriate for the city attorney or maybe folks with the PSEP, is it was pointed out that there are some editing errors in this document and there's some things that need to be cleaned up. And my question is, can this version be passed and then edits continue after that passage? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that point was made. Any other general thoughts or concerns that folks would like to bring up for consideration before before someone's available to make a vote? Yes?
I just thought it was a very good point that the amount of alternates that we have should maybe be increased. Yeah, I thought that was a very good point.
Okay, so another idea would be that we add that there should be an increased pool of alternates, and I'm wondering if somebody has a number that we would want to have in the bylaws, because we could say that the bylaws, you know, that the PSEP shall always have a reserve pool that has a certain amount of alternates. Does anybody have an idea of what that number would be if you agree with the points of the product?
Yeah, I would suggest an odd number because it should be one more qualified form, so everyone they all drop out. So if it's an odd number, that would be my suggestion.
It would be 9.
So you're thinking 9 would be the right number of alternates?
Well, going off of what you just said.
I heard Bob say 9. Okay, so that's a number that's floating out there. So I say all of this because if we're to pass the bylaws, someone's going to have to make a motion to vote. Right now we have the existing bylaws that everybody received when they walked in. There's been certain things brought up that should be amended in these bylaws. And so somebody could make the motion to move to accept these bylaws inclusive of the following amendments. So if you're considering making that motion, I will read what I've heard so far, make sure that I've included all of them. That doesn't mean you need to include all of them in your motion. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing everything correctly and that folks have the best information. Before I proceed with that, I know it looked like Keisha had to say, and also Patrick. Yes, Keisha.
I'm just wondering, we made suggestions and amendments, but like legally through the attorney, can they be put in these bylaws and changed to what we said?
You mean once the bylaws are adopted? So once the bylaws are adopted, my understanding, and I can be corrected, is that during any meeting, somebody could open up to make a motion to amend the bylaws. At which point a conversation can happen and the bylaws can be amended.
What I'm asking is everything we asked for, can they be legally in the bylaw.
Thank you, that's a good question. I don't know if you're prepared to answer that, but the question is, the things that have been suggested so far, do they seem to fit the legality? Would they be legally upheld in the bylaw? Okay, the answer is yes. Thank you, Lakeisha, that's a great point. Patrick, and then I think that there might be someone else. Did you have a point, Patrick?
I was just going to accept it.
Okay, give me 1 second, because I think that I might have seen someone about to raise their hand.
Nope.
No, okay. So before we take a motion, I want to just repeat back the amendments.
I don't know if you just went on the table here or in the room. Philip was.
Okay, so we have a comment. Are folks open to, we're kind of breaking protocol over, but I'm open to that if you are.
I'm okay with it, I was just clarifying if you meant just from the piece that